The Lord of Heroes warns Kael of Veynar's strategy. Selene and Alaric prepare countermeasures, raising the stakes for the heroes. Subscribe to Turmoil Studio to continue the Eclipse Saga. The sun had barely risen when the distant walls of Terenfall appeared, jagged silhouettes outlined by a sky still bruised from the previous battle. The forest behind them still carried Veynar's scent, cold, strategic, haunting. Kael's armor shimmered weakly, scratches and scorch marks scattered across the plating. His sword's edge steamed faintly, dawnlight residue fading as the morning wind licked its surface. The child pulsed softly in Seraphine's arms, its light dim, as if conserving strength for the storm ahead. "We don't stop," Kael said, breath steady but voice strained. "If Veynar wants to choke the city, he'll target the outer gates first." Lyra swept her gaze across the distant horizon, the slightest tension hiding behind her calm focus. "No, look closely. The shadows are already moving, forming patterns." Riven narrowed his eyes. "Formations? Here? They've never done that this close to Terenfall." Thorn's grip tightened on his blades. "Then, this isn't just another attack. This is the first wave." Seraphine's aura flickered, reading the air, the way she read heartbeats. Everything is being drawn toward the city. Something's forcing their path. Kael didn't hesitate. "We intercept, now." As they sprinted toward the ridge overlooking Terenfall's western outer district, an unnatural wind swept over them, dry, metallic, laced with a scent of corruption. The ground vibrated, not with random tremors like earlier, but in consistent cadence, almost rhythmic. Footsteps, marching. Lyra reached the ridge first, sliding to a halt, her breath caught. Thousands, not a horde, an army. Black silhouettes covered the fields around Terenfall's outer walls, moving with coordinated precision. Veynar had shifted tactics. These were no longer chaotic shadow beasts. They moved like soldiers obeying command, turning in unison, advancing in layered pressure lines, adapting formations based on the city's defenses. As the heroes watched, a formation split, revealing a towering figure with armored plating fused to its corrupted skin. "Warden class," Riven muttered. "We've never seen one this close." Lyra drew 2 arrows in silence. Kael exhaled. The siege begins. The heroes launched into motion. Kael descended the ridge with a burst of speed, sword gleaming with energized light. Shadows surged toward him, reacting instantly to his presence. 3 stalkers lunged from the ground, but Kael pivoted, letting the first attack slide past before slashing both others in a precise, mirrored arc. The third spun back, and Riven appeared behind it, dagger, ending its existence with a silent puncture. Lyra shot downward from the ridge, arrows cutting the air like streaks of silver flame. Each hit a target that pressed too close to the city gate, interrupting their advance before they reached the defenders stationed behind the walls. Thorn crashed forward like a comet, blades carving wide arcs that tore through tightly packed clusters. His strikes were heavier, more aggressive than earlier, because now he saw the pattern. The shadows were not trying to kill the heroes first. They were trying to break the wall. Seraphine dropped beside Kael, releasing a wave of radiant mist that halted a massive shadow brute mid-charge. The creature staggered, its corrupted sinews burning away beneath her light. She tightened her stance, pushing harder, sweat streaking down her temple as her aura pulsed outward to reinforce Kael's next strike. "This isn't a skirmish," she warned. "This is strategy. Someone is calling these moves." "It's Veynar," Lyra said without turning. "He's feeding them positioning. Look at how they turn when Riven moves. Look at how they split when Kael charges." "It's like he's seeing through their eyes," Riven added. "No," Thorn corrected, stepping over the dissolving remains of a fallen brute. "It's worse. It's like he's predicting us." And then the ground shook harder, not from footsteps, but from descent. From above the tree line behind Terenfall, 3 enormous winged shadows plummeted, hitting the earth with enough impact to send shockwaves across the battlefield. dust rose in towering pillars. The nearest one unfurled wings edged with serrated corruption, its hollow eye sockets glowing like molten embers. Kael felt his pulse spike. Winged sentinels? Inside the first wave? Riven's expression tightened. This is overkill. They're not supposed to appear until late-stage sieges. Veynar's rewriting the playbook, Thorn warned. Lyra shot an arrow straight into the sentinel's eye. The creature screeched, stumbling backward. Kael lunged forward, sword slicing upward in a radiant arc that bisected the beast. But even as its body dissolved, Kael saw movement behind the ash, 3 more sentinels incoming. Seraphine strengthened her stance. This will drain us if we don't break formation. Kael, center. Riven flank 2. Thorn ground split. Lyra topeline interruption. Kael nodded. Move. The battlefield exploded with motion. Kael charged into a head-on clash with the next sentinel, blade igniting in golden fury as he drove it back. Riven blurred across the terrain, carving through agile shadow assassins diving toward Lyra. Thorn's blades struck the ground with controlled force, sending rippling detonations that toppled entire columns of shadow infantry. Lyra leaped from fallen debris, arrows raining down like controlled meteor showers, scattering the advancing lines. Then Seraphine saw it. The Warden, she pointed. The titangent-sized creature with fused armor had reached the gates. Its dual chains wrapped around the massive hinges, glowing as corruption seeped into the stone. The city walls groaned, cracked. Kael, she yelled. Kael didn't wait. He sprinted across the battlefield, slicing down every shadow that dared block his path. The Warden swung the chains, generating a vortex of dark wind. Kael dove under it, sliding across the gravel as the chains slammed down where he'd stood. He rose with a burst of radiant force, sword striking the Warden's chain first, cleaving it in half. The creature roared, turning its massive, hollow-eyed skull toward him. Kael's muscles tensed. I'm right here. The Warden charged. The ground trembled beneath its weight. Kael braced for impact, yet the blow never came. Thorn leaped from behind Kael, blades crashing into the Warden's shoulder. The creature staggered from the force, giving Kael a moment to retaliate. He drove his sword upward, carving through the creature's torso as radiant shockwaves erupted, illuminating the battlefield for an instant. Lyra fired 2 arrows that pinned the Warden's legs into the earth. Riven appeared atop the creature, stabbing into its corrupted vertebrae. Seraphine unleashed a wave of cleansing light that surged through its wounds, preventing regeneration. The Warden collapsed with a thunderous crash, the shockwave shaking dust from the walls of Terenfall. But the battlefield did not quiet. It shifted. Every shadow within sight turned at once, like one mind, like one command, and retreated 10 steps. Not running, repositioning, forming a circle around the heroes. Kael inhaled sharply. It's him. The air quieted. Dark fog began to form in the center of the battlefield, swirling like a vortex, slow and deliberate. Tendrils curled and stretched, knitting themselves into a humanoid shape. The fog trembled and a voice like cold metal cracked through the silence. You break my lines. You disrupt my advance. You cling to this city as though it deserves to stand. Veynar's whisper echoed, deep and resonant. Not a projection, something closer. Riven stepped closer to Kael. He's manifesting. Lyra's eyes darkened. A partial specter? This early? Seraphine's hands glowed defensively. Stay together. The fog figure lifted its head slightly. Hollow sockets flickered with violet fire. You survived dawn, but Terenfall will fall before dusk. Kael stepped forward, sword raised, unwavering. We're the line between them and you. Veynar's silhouette tilted faintly, almost amused. Then break. He snapped his fingers, echoing like shattering glass. The shadows surged. Not chaotic, not sloppy, perfectly synchronized. A tidal wave of coordinated lethality. Kael roared, charging head-on. Lyra's arrows lit the sky. Riven spun into the fray with lethal precision. Thorn crashed into clusters with devastating impact. Seraphine's aura expanded, shielding them from coordinated strikes. But for every shadow they cut, two more replaced it. For every line they broke, Veynar reshaped it. The heroes were fighting not just a horde, but a mind. They were outnumbered, overwhelmed, pressed back inch by inch toward the walls of Terenfall, until a single pulse of light broke through the chaos. The child, glowing bright, brighter than before. A shockwave burst outward, momentarily blinding every shadow. Veynar's silhouette rippled violently. Waves stilled, shadows trembled. Even the air hesitated. Kael exhaled. "We're not done. Not today." Lyra steadied her bow. Riven smirked through blood at his lip. Thorn tightened his grip. Seraphine's aura strengthened around the child. They stepped forward as one, and the Siege of Terenfall truly began.